How fast should you do your Qigong practice? That is going to be the topic of this episode of Qi Life. When people think of Qigong practice, the type of practice they most typically think of is a slow moving practice. That is appropriate for most Qigong practices, but because that's maybe all that a lot of people are familiar with, it sometimes leads to some misconceptions about Qigong and how it should be done. So in this video I am going to talk about a few reasons why sometimes we might want to do our Qigong practices at different speeds. It is true that typically, a lot of Qigong practices are done slow. There's good reasons for why that's most common, but there are times when it's not the most appropriate thing and it's not going to give us, the best benefit that we might be seeking. So as a general principle, the slower we do a practice, the more it will focus on building up and storing energy within us, maybe even gathering energy so we can build it up within us. On the other hand, the faster we do a practice, it will typically focus more on activating the circulation of the energy, so moving the energy more strongly, more freely, and even discharging or releasing energy. And sometimes we have more of a need for one of those than the other. Now, this is partly why most typically Qigong practices are done slowly, because often the benefit that people are seeking is a gathering and a storing of energy from that practice, so they do it slowly. There are other reasons as well why Qigong practices are often typically done slowly. Part of it is safety. When you move really slowly, you're able to move in a way that your body is less likely to get injured, and in particular, you're able to develop great awareness of what you're doing within a movement. So it facilitates learning fine details of a movement and also moving in a way that's very safe for your body. And when you do that, when the body feels safe and relaxed, it's often able to relax, open up the tissues more fully, which then allows, in a certain sense, allows the energy to circulate more freely as well, because the body is feeling safe. It's not holding on, trying to protect itself. It relaxes into it. And this can facilitate the flow of energy. So in a certain sense, going slowly does open up the flow of energy, but it's within a specific context, within a specific role. Some of those same practices, even though typically people may start out by doing them slowly, can be done much faster as well. Once the body has become comfortable, the tissues have opened, then doing those practices faster is going to serve that role of circulating and possibly even discharging energy, and you will be able to do it safely as well. It's just that most people never get to that stage. They only get to the stage of doing it slowly, and so they never really experience that other side of it. But there is real benefit in this as well, and often a real need for this, because sometimes what we need to improve the health and well-being of our energy is actually to clear and discharge stuck energy, or where energy has become stagnant, not moving, to get it moving more strongly. So when that's the case, we will still typically start slowly, but then gradually move to doing it more quickly to facilitate that, clearing energy that's blocked, stagnant, stuck, and get the energy flowing more freshly, more freely. Interestingly as well, I've mentioned this in a previous vlog as well, sometimes what we need actually, in order to actually bring fresh energy in, is we actually need to discharge and clear old energy that's stuck and stagnant, and so faster practices are often really good for this and can actually lead to us building up, storing more energy. So there's this principle as well that I talk about from time to time. There's this principle of yin and yang, and so in this case, slow would be yin, gathering, storing. Yang would be fast, circulating, releasing, discharging. But within yin, there's the seed of yang, and within yang, there's the seed of yin. So sometimes by going fast, that actually opens up the yin component. So by circulating and discharging, it actually opens up so you can move into that yin of gathering and storing more effectively. And similarly at the other end, going really, really slow, because it develops that awareness, that opening of the tissues, that confidence, that safety, that skill with the movement, it actually then facilitates the ability to move faster, effectively, to circulate, discharge, and release. So there are some types of practices that do tend to be typically done one way or the other. So there are some types of practices that you pretty much only do slowly because they have a specific purpose, particularly if they're specifically for gathering, storing energy. So an example of this is within the Iron Shirt Qigong practices, actually. There are practices where, specifically for building up energy within the body before then consolidating and making it strong, giving that Iron Shirt quality. First, you've got to have a good base of energy. And so those practices are generally done slowly. Now, even within slow, there's a variety of speeds. There's slow, and then there's really, 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 really slow. And yeah, the Iron Shirt Qigong practices, or some of them, are actually a good example of that, where you can get benefit from doing it slow, but you get the more full benefit, and the aim is to do it really, really, really super slow, slower than you might imagine if you haven't done that type of practice before. And then there are also other practices which typically are done fast, because they are specifically for releasing energy. So some very simple examples of this are in the Waking the Qi series of Qigong practices. If you've done those, this is one of the Long White Cloud Qigong practices. Right at the end, or actually a couple of places within that practice, there are specific discharging movements. So one is part of doing eagle spreads at swings and soars, which activates the cellular respiration. As part of that, we build up, activate the energy, and then we need to release it. Because of the way we build it up, we have to make sure we release fully, so there's a fast motion within that. And then also right towards the end of the practice, there's thunder and lightning, and the lightning is a fast movement, again releasing energy that has been built up as part of encouraging a fresh flow. And then another one you might be familiar with is in some of the dragon play and the wild animal play. We do throwing movements, which again are specifically for releasing energy. So the dragon practices really circulate the energy strongly and build it up, get it strong and vibrant, and then release it. Both to just send it out into the energy field, but also because we're building the energy up so much that we need to let it go, because we develop a vibrant flame of energy that we need to release the excess from. Now, there are lots of other practices that might be done slowly, might be done fast. Of course, the extreme of slow is the Zhangzhuan practices, where you just stand still. You have small movement, of course, but effectively, externally, you're basically still. And these are used, really for building, consolidating energy within your body. And then other practices that are also typically done fast. But then there's a whole lot of other practices that sit somewhere in between. And for these, often we can choose while we're doing them, do we want to focus more on the gathering, the building up of energy, the storing it, or do we want to actually focus more on circulating, releasing energy? And this can vary, day to day. Sometimes we have a bit more need of one than the other, or we might go through phases where for months even we have a need to focus on one part, and then from time to time we have a need to focus more on the other. So a lot of practices, it's totally fine to experiment with the speed that you do them at, and then see or notice what difference this has in its effect on your body, on your energy. And as you experiment, going faster and slower, you'll get a more instinctive understanding of then what speed is most appropriate for you at a given time. Whether it's more appropriate for you to go faster, if you need that circulating, discharging, or if it's better for you to go slower to gather, consolidate the energy. Okay, hopefully that's useful. I look forward to seeing you in another one soon.